Welcome to the Beautiful Game. As always, I am Blake here with Ferris.
Hola.
And Ron.
What's happening?
And my wife wanted to let Ron know he is fully responsible for making sure my daughter stays asleep and that this pod doesn't get too heated as we move on to some of our topics. Because in tonight's episode, we're going to be talking about the no more unbeaten teams in the Premier League as Newcastle beat Arsenal 1-0 at St. James Park, not St. James Gate Brewery. That'd be a different match that I would gladly go to. But of course, it wasn't without a little VAR controversy. And then just yesterday, Tottenham not only went down to 9 men, but also went down 4 goals as they lose 4-1 at Stamford Bridge, courtesy of a late Nick Jackson hat trick. Izzy on a roll for the Golden Boot. Ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here first. It just wasn't a good weekend for North London. All that North London is black and white and blue all over. Nicely done, Ferris. Over the talk before we roll into our 2-minute drill as we cover all the rest of the Premier League action from around the league. Then we'll blow the halftime whistle as the warden of the World Cup and the Federale of FIFA, Ron, shares with us some interesting facts and points that he recently heard on a podcast about the strong certainty of a Saudi World Cup. Finally, we'll close out the pod with an NWSL exclusive edition of the La Liga's Roundup, as we let you know who'll be playing for the 2023 NWSL Championship coming up this Saturday. It's going to be a good matchup. And then, of course, we're going to hit our beer, followed by Ron giving us a magisterial quote from Ray Hudson to kick the pod off. All right, gentlemen. Well, as you noted, Ron, before we started recording, I'm back in Tennessee trying to get things squared away before we move up to the great state of Connecticut. It's so tiny. I'm hopping to different towns by taking 4 steps. I'm still not used to it. But I figured while I'm down here, I should do some Tennessee beers. And I don't know if you guys know, I also play guitar. So
we are aware.
Had an inkling.
Mitch put it together. And I've been a Martin guy for years, but I recently played a Gibson. I got a Gibson guitar about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. And that plays into today's beer. This beer is from Tennessee Brew Works. It is a brewery and independently owned and operated since 2013 with a mission to create high quality craft beer that pays homage to land, traditions, and culture of Tennessee. Ron, I think you'll dig this.
Nice.
The Brew Works proudly introduced the state's first all Tennessee grain beer in 2018 with the Tennessee Department of Agriculture. This all Tennessee Grain State Park Blonde Ale is the official beer of the Tennessee State Parks. It benefits the TSP Conservancy and the preservation of the state's 57 state parks. Savage Gulf State Park just opened, partially because of this funding.
Oh, that's cool.
That's pretty neat.
Yeah, right? Their motto is, we work hard to create high-quality craft beer that makes Tennessee proud. Our culture places importance on family, friends, and community, and we hope you'll be a part of it. And these fine folks, they partnered up with the wonderful guitar makers of Gibson.
Ooh,
and they made this delicious, and you see on the logo, it's a double neck electric guitar. This is the double neck Tennessee Brew Works Belgian style ale double. The description is Gibson and the Tennessee Brew Works, Gibson and Country Malt Group have joined forces to create a unique Belgian style double that celebrates the art of craft brewing and the love of music. The double neck Belgian style double is the result of a collaboration between 2 esteemed Tennessee based companies, and they have blended with the rich history of Gibson guitars, along with Tennessee Brew Works craft brewing expertise, using quality ingredients from Country Malt Group. Limited edition Double Neck is a full-bodied Abbey ale that showcases complex flavors derived from the malted barley and Belgian yeast, including caramel, toffee, dark cherry, and subtle notes of nutmeg. It's 7% ABV, 27 IBU. This reddish-brown ale is perfect for sipping on a night out with friends or enjoying listening to your favorite guitar solos. This beer's name plays homage to the iconic Gibson Double Neck guitar, which has been a symbol of rock and roll for decades.
Wow, that's cool.
Cool, man.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
I'm super, super stoked for this one.
And what was the brewery called again?
This is Tennessee Brew Works.
Tennessee Brew Works. Cool.
Yeah. Yeah. This is one of those that, they say don't judge a book by a cover, but I was walking down the beer aisle and I saw Gibson guitars and a big guitar, and I was like, this is coming home.
That's cool.
Yeah, and I don't think I've done a Belgian double in a really long time, on pod or off pod. So I'm pretty stoked for this.
Heck
And
yeah.
luckily, as we were cleaning out things from having moved just 2 years ago, I found my Belgian glasses. So there you go.
Cool.
Man, all sorts of good setup. Okay, our beer is from North Carolina, where we were vacationing a couple of weeks ago. And we had a stopover at Kettle Beer Works. And an interesting thing is, what do they call them? Like mountain leafers? People that go to the mountains specifically during the fall to see some leaves and spend a holiday in a cabin.
Foliage, folks.
Connecticut term for that makes me really happy. They call them leaf peepers, and it sounds dirty to me.
Leaf peepers.
I like leaf peepers.
I like Ferris's one that he just came up with. Foliage, folks.
Foliage.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
That sounds like a folk band from the 60s.
Right. So the owners are quoted as saying, every year for Thanksgiving, we would find a cabin in the mountains of North Carolina for our extended families to meet and spend the holidays. We fell in love with Banner Elk, and after testing the excellent mountain water quality, we knew we could make superior beer. So these leaf peepers or foliage folks went and bought out Banner Elk Brewing Company.
Oh, that's crazy.
Which Banner Elk Brewing Company had been there since 2013. So Mark and Yumoko Ralston bought Banner Elk Brewing Company in 2017, and they decided to rename or rebrand, and they call it now Kettle, Kettell Beer Works, which Kettle is a family name which goes back for many generations on the husband Mark's side. So we had a great time at that little spot. So we snagged a beer that I think is really good for today.
Okay.
It's called the Supernova IPA.
Cool.
The aroma of fresh fruit blossoms, low bitterness, hoppy fruit flavors with muted hints of mandarin oranges, apricot, and mangoes. 6.2 on the old ABV. And I think Supernova, just on the title, is good because if the listening audience could have seen our spicy text message thread over the weekend, they would know that there is a very good potential for this pod to go supernova.
Okay. Okay.
So Supernova IPA. I'm ready to try it. 6.2 on the old age.
Let's go. I want to say we went to this brewery, but it was several pods back. It might have even been last year. I actually recorded in the Banner Elk area as a friend of the pod, Phil. His family has a cabin up there, so I can't remember if I had one of these beers or not. But I'm looking forward to this one.
Ron, while you were there in Banner Elk, did you see Triplet Arms? Does the old fencing supply place still exist there?
I wanted to go, but didn't have the chance to go look. So I'm not.
You know what? It's in Elkin, North Carolina.
Oh,
which it didn't used to be, right? Was it always there?
I don't remember. I knew it was in North Carolina, well, like Western North Carolina, but past that, I couldn't really remember. I haven't.
Banner Elk, Elk and Banner.
Competitively fenced for quite some time.
I like Ron. He smoothly dropped that in, Ferris.
The what?
Used to be a competitive fencer. I was having competitive fenced in quite some time.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's true.
That was a very like James Bond moment of you. So I guess I'll try it. Pip,
oh,
let's go.
On the weekend, money funny. Oh, a little competitive fencing.
All right, shall we do this?
By the way, my bottle opener, Ferris, here's how we'll get the one mentioned in pod. Since Bayern Munich managed to beat Dortmund, I'll open this beer with my Bayern Munich or FC Bayern bottle opener. So
don't you mean Harry Kane beat Bayern Munich?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or Dortmund?
Or yeah, no, sorry. Yeah.
Ooh, smells yummy.
Oh, man.
A little bit on the old khakis.
I think both you gentlemen would love this, but I know Ron really loves the double. Man, the smell of this is awesome.
Ooh, this looks like it's going to be quite tasty.
Oh, what a pour, though.
Yeah. I mean, mine too.
Yeah.
All right. Shall we give it a go?
It smells lovely.
Let's do this.
IPA.
Cheers.
Cheers, gents.
Ooh.
Oh, good Lord.
That is tasty.
Oh, that's easily one of the better beers I've had in the pod in a while. Holy cow. Ron, our old beer guru, Jason, remember the dude that got us into craft beer way back when? Literally put that glass up to my nose, made it smelled like his old apartment. When we'd be sitting there doing tastings all night long.
Yeah. This is a very kind of clean IPA, very citrusy up front with like the apricot kind of taste, but then the hops really like that pine tarry or that piney hop really hits you kind of in the finish, but it's not like skull splitting.
No,
it's quite clean at the end.
Clean. You get a lot of that those good hop notes, but not over the top. They're very, very good. It's just a solid IPA that is going to be fun to drink.
You know, that's something that's obviously a trend that I think is cool to get beer nerdy for a second before we get into footy. We have frequently in the pod in the last 2 months been like, man, this is a really good IPA or a pale ale or whatever, a hoppy, forward drink that has a lot of the aroma, but doesn't have the super bitter that like really like peels the enamel off your teeth. Like, and again, every now and then I like a Stone IPA, and I want that to get punched in the face with that. But it's cool how many breweries are now making that very drinkable IPA. This thing is like this double. It's not as thick as some doubles, I don't know if they're bottle conditioned. I'm not really seeing like any yeast sediments on the bottle, although it wouldn't shock me if it is just due to the shape of the bottle. But man, the toffee notes are like really strong. This is I don't know how hard it is to get this double neck Belgian style from Tennessee Brew Works or how much they're distributed, but that's a good one.
I will say before we kind of get into it, I worked the Orlando Beer Fest this past Saturday for Big Storm, as we had a tent represented there. I saw a lot of fun friends, and it was a good crowd. The VIP definitely, like, Blake, I don't remember when we went a few years back if we went in VIP or not, but
we went in. I feel like we went in early, right?
Early, so right. It's like the first 2 hours, and then you do whatever. But it's definitely grown. Like the footprint of it's grown, and some really good breweries there. Got a chance to walk around and try some. One of which being the Salty Llama Brewing Company.
Awesome! What a great name!
Yeah, and they had a like a Harvest Winter, 10.9%. That was lovely. A session IPA from was it Heritage Brewing? Give me a second here. I'll be able to tell you. But they really, I'm sorry, 4 Sixes Grit and Glory Brewing had the session IPA, which was very good. Two of the best things I had though, the Knot food truck. It's garlic knots in slider form.
Oh,
so I had a buffalo bacon garlic knot slider. They had like all sorts of different sliders, from like a chicken parm slider to you name it. Just fantastic. Awesome bands playing, and then they had a Airstream that was a humidor. You'd walk into it,
smart,
and a humidor in the back. So how we were working the tent was with 3, so then 2 would stay at the tent and pour beers and welcome everybody there, and the 1 would walk around for a bit. So my third walk around, I said, okay, I did food the last time, done beer, I'm gonna grab myself a cigar, and I just walked around the event with a cigar, and it was just a lovely day out, awesome vibes.
Where was
it?
Great. Right over here in the Milk district of Orlando, right in front of the airfield there.
Oh, gotcha.
Yep.
And that park?
What's that?
Was it the same place when we went?
Yeah. It's the same. Yep.
Festival Park?
Something like that.
Yeah.
Yep. And they had a whole bunch of local breweries. A lot of the breweries that I've had before here. But it was cool to see. Awesome to work for Big Storm again and be there and promoting Bromosa, Wave, Acre Amber Ale, and our vodka sodas that we do, our salsa sodas, which are fantastic. And Blackberry was a hot seller. So a lot of fun. Orlando Beer Fest was quite awesome.
Your Bromosa there, Big Storm, is good. I do like that.
Oh yeah, people. I had a couple people come up. I don't like IPAs. I said, just try this. Believe me, it don't taste quite like your typical IPA. And they walk away and be like, "Yeah, you were right."
They
You're
should
welcome.
enter.
It's also 7%. You're welcome.
Right. They should enter that in the Great American Beer Festival. See how it does.
It's damn good, but a lot of fun, and we got to bring home some beer as well, which is nice when you start doing the trades. So
yeah, that's quite good.
Oh man, Ron, you'd friggin' love this. I wish you guys could have this, man.
Well, we'll take a picture and see if we can get a hold of a bottle of it somehow.
I feel like since I'm about to move to much colder weather, that stashing Belgians around might be the call.
Right.
I need my call for
now.
All right. Sorry. I was just pouring and marveling at its wonderful head as I was pouring it. All right. There's a little bit of yeast. It is bottle conditioned. Okay. Ron, you got a Ray Hudson quote to kick us off?
I do. This is quite a good one. He's talking about Cristiano Ronaldo in this quote. And it goes something like this. He is as electrifying as a Jimi Hendrix guitar going into a hot tub.
Hey, that paired with the beer very well.
It does.
Yeah.
We theme on this pod from time to time.
It's accidental, but not really. We somehow it works itself out.
Yeah, and do not throw your guitar into a hot tub, especially if it's
plugged in.
Into an amp or something. Probably not the best decision that you could ever make in your life.
No, guitars are not a boat. Just in case you're wondering.
Not a boat.
Words to live by Blake.
Oh, that's brilliant.
One of my favorite singer-songwriters, Daryl Scott, has a song called Hummingbird, and it's about him and the kid when they took his dad's guitar and put it in a creek to see if it would float because they were like little kids. And there's a line in there that says, "A guitar is not a boat."
Great recall. Great recall.
Well done.
All right, moving on. Here we go. Newcastle 1, Arsenal 0 at James. I can't want to say St. James Gate Park. St. James. The line from Ferris. A Havertz challenge should have been a red. A Bruno Gomes forearm should have been a red. An Anthony Gordon goal in the 64th should have been a goal. I mean, that's pretty much the questions right there for that encapsulate that match.
Very heated debates between pundits and fans and players and managers, and between our very own Ferris and Blake. And so before you start talking about it, we have Ferris in this corner in the studio, standing a svelte 6 foot. And we have Blake in
I'm 6'6". You hold on.
6'6".
Whatever.
Okay.
And we have Blake in Tennessee, in the Tennessee Music and Sword Factory.
Okay.
They call me the Cowboy Katana. Yeehaw! Slice.
Here we go, gentlemen. Come out swinging.
Oh, well, I feel like Ferris, feel like all our friends are going to be very disappointed because the heated was in the moment of everything going.
Yeah, like the heated was more like organic and just antagonizing back and forth. And the sad thing is that we worked a lot of this out already.
We can't release the transcripts because we probably all get canceled somewhere on there somewhere.
Right.
Along that thread.
This is more me making fun of your banter back and forth and trying to instigate something on the pod.
It was fantastic. I was so angry, and the only thing that made me more angry was I just wanted to be having a beer, yelling at all of you while doing that, like at a bar somewhere. That's what I wanted.
Yeah, a very spirited debate, mostly about
Well, a lot of the news has been
right.
Well, a lot of the news has been Arteta's comments after the game.
Sure. Well, but
that's been a large part of the whole thing.
But we'll reel it back just a little bit, right? It was an incredibly physical game, which did not start out as a very chippy game. It just started out as a very physical game. Lots of passion. Arsenal trying to hold on to their undefeated ways. Newcastle trying to prove a point and put a flag in the ground and say, "Yep, we're here." And then it all started unraveling with a Havertz challenge that he essentially left both of his feet and jumped into the challenge. Then there was a forearm to the back of
forearm shiver.
To the back of Jorginho on a run by when the ball was not even near the play, or I should say the foul. Which essentially, by the rules, probably should have been a red card for striking an opponent in the head with your hand or your arm, right? So who knows that? Then it just devolved from there. There is shots on goal back and forth, very physical game, and then Newcastle seemingly have the ball out on the end line, but it's not called. It is then put into the box, and there's a question on offsides at that time. But then there's also the possible push that would not have nullified the goal that was immediately ensuing. Then there was 3 VAR checks, one for each of those fouls, and all of those were proven inconclusive because of, quote, not enough angles. And so it was pandemonium from there.
Well, and VAR checks occurred with the Havertz challenge, with the Bruno challenge. So there were multiple VAR checks prior to the goal, and then the 3 that you're mentioning with the goal.
So, to me, and this will loop into our next game, that's the biggest problem. There's a bajillion VAR checks. How many of them actually overturned anything? And I'll couch this with saying I felt like some should have, right? Or they should have changed. But how many of them like actually overturned anything? And they didn't, but they held these games up. And especially the Chelsea game. My God, that felt like you were watching American football, right? With the amount of replays that was happening in that game. So these 2 matches are a weird 1-2 punch off of each other for the amount of VAR. The ones in the, and we'll get to the Chelsea talk, not as controversial in the sense that like all those like, oh yeah, those all seemed like correct, right? There wasn't like a much of a fight of it, but there just were a lot of them. You know what I mean? And a lot of like stopping a play for like offsides that maybe could have just been called on the pitch. You know,
I think the weird thing about the Arsenal and Newcastle match in general is this is a game without VAR. It probably ends and is done the same way with no red cards handed out. The goal probably still stands, but because we have VAR that goes back and looks at these things and takes time at them, that's what's going through. But prior to VAR, this is probably just a hard fought match of the early, the late 90s, the early 90s, the early 2000s, and it's just the Havertz challenge is just still the card that it was. The Bruno challenge probably goes unmissed and unseen. The this, that, and the other, the goal probably is graded the exact same way in it. So it's just because we have this entity that has been a topic of discussion all season long with various things, you're spending time to look at these what we consider now Warrington game changing moments in a game that could affect it, and they're just spending time on it. And I think that's the hard part with this is the amount of time they're spending on it trying to get the call right. And then in the end, are they getting the call right?
So that's the question that we were kind of talking about a few pods ago. That, well, specifically about the Liverpool, right? So the Liverpool match. We don't necessarily care if it takes a bit longer as long as your calls are accurate.
Well, yeah.
So in this case, though, and in the Chelsea match, the tide kind of went against that, right? So, where's the middle ground for taking too long / accuracy? Like, where's that variable? How does that variable line up for you?
I think it's ultimately getting the call right. And in the Liverpool game, for instance, they didn't get the call right.
Right.
There was an apology made and the audio that we played on this pod.
Right.
And I think part of the reason that apology was made was because of that audio. And even the refs and the VAR are saying that was wrong. That they got that wrong and they couldn't go back.
You should look up Arsenal, Newcastle VAR audio. It's fake. It's a sketch show.
Oh.
But enough people heard it going, is that for real? And then having to be told it's fake because after how the Liverpool one sounded, you go, is that real?
Well, yeah.
Where am I seeing this? What? Oh, wait a minute. This is a BS news site, whatever. You know what I mean? But for a hot second, I'm like, are you serious? And it was getting so many people below it, which I don't think speaks well to how we listen to that Liverpool. I mean, that Liverpool thing, right, was ridiculous because it was like a simple. You should always confirm. Why isn't that established? You know what I mean? And that's kind of what if you listen to the sketch comedy, it's very funny because things don't get confirmed. It's very, very funny. But it's taken a ton of time. You know, I mean, if we walk down them, right? So the Havertz challenge, if it doesn't get called at all, that's a problem. If there's no VAR, if it doesn't get called, it's not a problem. If it gets called a yellow, hey, that could have been a red. If it gets called a red, okay, it could have been a yellow. I love the one explanation. I think it was two Robbies were like, if it was his first foot and not his second foot, because it's in VAR in slow motion, I think they keep it at a yellow going, well, I don't think he was, it's reckless, but it's so subjective, right? Like you're splitting the hairs on watching it in slow motion. Right. And their feeling from their gut feeling was if it were the front foot, he gets a red. It's the second, it's a yellow. Well, what? I mean, like that's crazy, right? And at that point, why do VAR? Just call it on the pitch. If it had gone red or gone yellow, somebody would have been a little upset on either side. But in the end of the day, you're like, yeah, you know, I guess, okay, it could have been a red. It was a yellow. It could have been a yellow, but it was a red. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I think the weird thing about it is you watch the challenge and you don't really have a clear and obvious error.
I think that's with all of them.
So like, why did it even go to such a long check?
I think that's
instead of it just being, well, and I think we can say that for a good 80% of the calls or the VARs across the league isn't the mandate. It's a clear and obvious error.
Well, right. And to quickly derail for a second, I learned something new that did this Saturday. Subjective offsides.
Right. Clear and obvious.
Subjective.
Right.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
I don't understand.
So like, I'm not going to, draw away from for this game right now, but I think when you break it down, and that's the point of like, if the particular match didn't have VAR, everything probably plays out the way that it does. But because we have it under a multi-camera, we have the ability to go back and look at this. Now we have to determine whether that Havertz challenge is a red or yellow. Where on the field, the card was brandished a yellow, and seemingly the ref made the correct, decision.
Right.
The ref didn't see the Gamarsh forearm shiver to the back of the head. Probably goes unseen.
No, but I want to throw something out of that because I actually thought the two Robbies said something really interesting. I forget which one it was, but they were like, back in the day, as in like pre-2019, if a foul like that had occurred and your line judge is there and can see that,
they can call.
He calls it.
Yeah, sure,
and tell
sure.
the ref, hey man, but their comment was nowadays in the VAR, they're not doing that.
Well, it was also on the opposite side of where the linesman was as well. So
and that came in a lot in the Chelsea match too, with what's his name, who got sent off for a string of rash challenges in about a 5-minute Romero in a string of 5 minutes. And any one of those he could have been sent off for.
Yeah. And that's what they're saying was that, they were saying, look, they're not trying to infer, like, but it makes you wonder, well, are you guys watching the rest of the pitch while the other guy as much as you used to now that VR exists, or you just letting the boys on the pitch, you know what I mean? And it's like, hey, that could or could not be true, but it does make the problem with introducing VAR is it makes you ask those questions, right? I mean, that's to your point earlier, Ferris, you were saying this game ends the same way with no VAR and people are like, man, but you're not like, well, some fans are always like, you're paying off the refs, whatever. There's always those people, right, that are silly, but if you have this technology to make it perfect, and yes, you can't do that. Humans are still involved. You're asking for more problems. And this is all being said, like, guys, where does this sit? And it's almost, we're going to talk about both these matches, I think, together. Where does this sit in the rest of the world? Remember when we first saw the VAR in World Cup, we were like, hey, I'm actually excited for this for the Premier League. This like, it's fast. It's calling a quick, offsides, whatever. And that first World Cup, I forget which one it was that we saw it in.
Germany?
Was it Germany? Yeah. No,
I thought it was Germany.
Wasn't the one in Germany. That's 06, right? Later than that.
It was later than that.
I thought it was Germany.
I can't remember.
Yeah, I forget which one it was, but like it went well. We were like, this actually looks great.
Russia?
No,
is it Moscow?
It's the one before that. So whichever is prior to Russia, 4 years prior.
2018.
Right, I think it was Russia.
So what was 2014?
It wasn't around in 2014.
You know what would be funny or easier if I just typed in first World Cup with VAR?
That's what I just did.
I don't know why I'm trying to like 20. Okay, there you go, Ferris. You're right. Russia. God, why did I think?
Yeah. No, it wasn't. Yeah, it was 2018 was the first one. It wasn't introduced in 2014 yet.
I think I was thinking of the Ladies World Cup not being, so it wasn't in Russia but that was in Korea, wasn't it? So, and it went well, right? So like what's going on? And also we talked about how Bundesliga had been doing the year prior and it was working out well in the Bundesliga. I now look, I follow Bundesliga a little bit. Are they as upset about their VAR as the fans of the Premier League are?
It doesn't seem that way.
It doesn't seem that. So like, so what's,
well, I think there's probably a lot behind the scenes no one really knows, that's front facing. But I think because there's so many dissected parts to it, and also because you are penalizing refs for calls that are bad, you're sending them to the lower leagues, you're fining them, you're doing all these things to the refs and the line judges when calls are screwed up, that now they're just going to VAR everything, because then it's not one person who's getting penalized for it.
So why isn't the VAR guy ever getting punished though?
Well, some of them have.
Yeah, but it's really been the field guys far more though.
People have gotten.
Well, it's been the teams, right? Like the team doesn't do the next Saturday or whatever it is. But yeah, I was thinking about that too. And when I was watching one of the games this weekend, I was like, the linesman job has to be pretty easy nowadays, because like, hey, listen, if I miss the call, VAR is going to get it. So if I don't call the offside, well, let's just play it safe. I just won't raise the flag. They'll have a second look at it. Like, I know it's not as simplistic and that's not how it's being done, but at times you're like, well, just keep the flag down or whatever.
Thing like this is to be clear, this is April 2020. I was trying to see if there's a quick comparison, and the quickest thing I could find was just some numbers for 2020. So again, keep that in mind, not 2023. But research done by Bet O'Clock by April 2020 of 2020, the Premier League had overturned 32% of the VAR calls this season. La Liga has the highest percentage with 91% overturned. Bundesliga next with 90% overturned, and Serie A with 89% overturned, and League One 85% overturned. There's an incredible 53% difference between fourth place in the table and the Premier League at the bottom of those divisions.
So they're actually VARing things that matter and are probably needing to be VAR'd is what it tells me.
That's exactly what I was going to say. So that says to me that they are doing the ones that are big and important. However, and listen to this, the Premier League has had many more VAR calls to contend with, 275 to be precise, with Serie A in 2020 having the second most with 111.
Wow.
Yeah, and I don't think that's probably changed too much over the past few years.
So that rate in 2020, 3.4 times higher than League One. Holy, where's the Tylenol? That might, to be honest, that might be it right there, man. And let me tell you, like, actually listen to what both folks are saying. One's heated when he's doing it, but both Plastic, I can't freaking do it. I'm not even trying to be rude because I'm not a Spurs fan. Thank you, Postecoglou and Arteta are both saying VAR sucks. I mean, because Postecoglou is like you're taking the authority of the refs away to a guy watching the TV screen down the streets. If that's what it is in 2020, I would love to get current stats to now. That might just be it, man. Like you said, that tells me if you're doing 90% at that point in time in La Liga, Bundesliga, it's the important calls. It's the ones that are like, whoa, that's a mistake, man.
Yeah.
Do you guys remember? Do you remember instant replay in the NFL before it stopped and before it came back again?
Yeah.
And at that time, it was awful because the refs almost stopped reffing and just instant replayed everything. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And when it first came back, it was probably better than it is now because it went away. Some bad things happened in games that brought it back, but it is a little more tighter on where it could and couldn't be used. Because I think previously you could just, in the NFL, just about everything could be replayed and it was awful. It feels like, at least based on those 2020 numbers and based on how the season's going, that might just be it right there. That they're going to that screen way too many times. Are the refs, like you said, relying on it? And so not, and I don't know, chicken or egg, like is it that authority is being, authority being eroded because VAR is overrunning the refs on the pitch, or the refs on the pitch turning it over to VAR. And who knows? I don't know. I mean, obviously, we won't know that. But those numbers to me say a lot about the current state of the VAR situation.
So I think before we wrap up the Arsenal-Newcastle game, one last question.
Well, we got to answer. Is that a goal?
Right. That's where I'm headed.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect.
Yeah. I don't think so because there's that foul has been given 1,000 times and that ball also hit his forearm. I don't know, man. I think if I'm the ref and I have it, maybe he was out of bounds, can't conclusively. It maybe was offsides. We can't draw a friggin' line, which again, I think when you say that crap to the fans and they're like, you have so much money. And granted, the Premier League chose not to do stuff like the Hawkeye technology for the lines and I understand, but like, it's almost like Premier League, if you were going to do it, you should have gone the full way. And a lot of that fault is on the clubs who said they didn't want some of those things, right? If you're going to do VAR, I actually think and I'd have to look. If I don't know if Bundesliga and the league all do this stuff, but I think you got to do it all, man. Anyway, but you have those two. You have a third one where the dude's hand is two hands on the back of the head. There's a player going to a direction where he could be trying to head the ball away, and then the ball hits his arms. Just to me, that's wild. It's like that. There you go. Like if the ball was on the other foot and the player scoring had two hands on a guy, pushed him down and headed the ball in, would they have counted that?
Oh, I was going to say differently. I said, I think it's a goal. The first I saw it, I was like, oh, I don't see why there was 3 checks here.
Of course you do.
Well, but let me finish. Hold on. Mind you, I was working the beer fest, so I did not see the match. I just caught up on the thread, and the only thing I responded was, oh, by this text thread, I couldn't tell that Arsenal lost the game because there was so much crying going on. Jesus H. Anyways, so I'm looking at the play on a Instagram, watching it. The first I see it, I'm like, man, what's the issue here? And I think that's where it lied for me. Well, if I'm watching it at first, it's a good goal. I think if it's not called when I'm watching it at first, it's not going to be overturned then by VAR. But because it was called a good goal on the field, I don't think there's enough indisputable evidence, and whether it's indisputable evidence on the goal as a whole or the 3 specific instances that led up to the goal that have been called out, I don't think there's enough there to overturn it. So I think if it was called, if the foul was called as the one of the 3, if the ball being out was called as one of the 3, if the offside was called as one of the 3, there's not enough there to overturn that call on the field. So I think it's a goal based on that. And it stood. It survived 3 VAR checks.
How's it not a foul, though? A hand on the back of his head?
I mean, I don't remember which pundit said, but like, when you dive for a ball and you get down low to do that, to head the ball away, he was going down. Gabriel's not the most, he's a more theatrical defender when he falls and does those things, and the pulling himself back on the offside line and stuff. I don't know. Again, if it's not called, then I think it's probably ends in 0-0 game. But because it was called a goal, I don't think there was enough there for VAR for that clear and obvious error to overturn any of those 3.
No, and how does, when they look back at getting hit in the back of the head, how is that not?
For who?
When Jorginho gets hit in the back of the head. Not in that goal, but to back it up. Because I think both of those, the Havertz one could have been a red, but it was called. It was a foul.
Sure.
It was yellow.
Well,
right?
there was nothing called for Bruno in that. So I think you either you don't call anything, now you go straight for a red. That's a bit different too.
But that's been done plenty of times in the Premier League where
sure.
Exactly.
a ref is not in a viewable location for the offense.
Sure.
But then there is dangerous conduct.
But it's usually not it's usually static play, right? It's usually they're gathering on the refs, there's pushing, there's shoving, there's a hand to the throat, there's those type of things that occur where all of a sudden, hey, ref, you didn't see that, go back and look. You see hands to the face or something along those lines, red. This was, I think it was a Dennis Rodman way of playing the game where you're getting away with this like crotch grab in the lower paint of a basketball game when nobody's seeing it and the refs aren't looking at that. They're looking at the ball at the point, right? Yeah. The play's going in the opposite way and it's a little, I'm going to jab you one, and it wasn't seen. The VAR says go back and have a look, or however that they went about it. So
I think that specific one was a clear and obvious error for dangerous play.
Yeah.
Right? It's a forearm to the head. There's no they're running. He has fallen. Jorginho got the best of him. Jorginho passes the ball. Everyone's running toward the ball, which is now 10, 15 yards away from Jorginho. Mm-hmm. And then he gets clocked in the back of the head.
And we've also seen these dudes get suspended when it was missing a game by Tuesday by the FA.
Yeah. So I'm not really sure why. For me, that's a red. It's dangerous play. He meant to do it. He used his forearm to purposefully make contact with the back of a defenseless player who has no idea it's coming.
I at first thought it was the play where Bruno shoulders Jorginho as they're running, then tells him to get up, and then goes into a challenge. Was it Vieira who plays for you guys, Blake? Right.
I'm
Fabio
sure
Vieira.
Yeah.
And like Bruno puts his hand towards Vieira's like collarbone neck, and Vieira grabs his face, his eyes, and goes down. And I was like, "Oh my god, that's not a red." I didn't realize that wasn't the one that they were referring to. It was the one with the forearm shiver. And I was like, "Okay, now I know where the controversy's coming in."
Yeah, Vieira made a meal out of that.
So let me ask you something though. Does VAR teach Jorginho a lesson? The next time that happens to you, go down to the pitch and don't get back up. They'll look back at it and they'll call it.
I don't know if VAR's taught that. Players have been doing that for
no, but I'm saying you're teaching the player to do that though.
No, because it regardless if he went down or not, it was still VAR'd. So I think the point of question is did VAR get the correct call? And that is the question. They made their call. But did they get that correct? It's such a subjective thing. That's what we're arguing here.
I don't think that one's subjective at all. But I understand
here of hey, is it clear and obvious? Is it this? Is it dangerous play? Is it an attack on opponent? Whatever those terms are.
Yeah,
but it's dangerous play, right?
I agree with that.
I don't know because like what was the Sky Sports post that I saw on the Havertz challenge where it was deemed a reckless challenge, not a dangerous challenge?
Now I could understand that because it was the trailing foot. It hits him with the shin, not the studs. So that part I get, but I don't think you can say that the who was that? Bruno.
I don't know. That doesn't look like a trailing foot to me.
The trailing foot does hit him. The front one misses.
Yeah, that doesn't hit him.
Because it says a yellow card for Havertz after a rash challenge. VAR checks the instance and decides tackle is reckless, not dangerous.
Sure.
3 Newcastle players are booked following the decision.
But I don't think that relates in any way to the Bruno challenge because, first of all, it wasn't a challenge. The ball was 10 yards away at that point. He had to run to catch up to Jorginho. So that's premeditation. And then he elbows him in the head or forearms him in the head. So for me, that's a red all day. You got essentially it was payback for the challenge Jorginho won and did cleanly. You were just sour grapes about it and you let the emotions get the best of you and you forearm in the head.
So let's talk sour grapes.
What's the sour grape part?
A wee man on the sideline with a press conference. That's sour grapes.
Oh, no. You mean a manager who's got the balls to say something, take a fine?
No.
Oh, no. So I get it. What Ferris wants is no managers to complain about state of VAR. We should just hopes and prayers that it gets better.
Arteta does not come out any sort of patriot of the game or monarch of the flag for holding this fight against VAR in this. He comes off looking a hell of a lot worse than he does a hell of a lot better. And then the club backs him. There hasn't been an apology issued by anybody, including PGMOL TFC by FTY. So it's not like Klopp coming out, having this rant, and then 2 days later, hey, sorry, we got that wrong. It looks and how he said it, and I get it. It's he's passionate. It's right after the match. He's saying these things, but I don't think he comes across looking great, and it looks very. Oh, now the call goes against us, and now this whole thing is crap, and
why do you keep saying it? Like he has always said VAR is good. You keep saying that, but he's never said that.
I did not just say that he always said VAR was good. That's not what I just said.
Change his tune now. VAR.
I did not just say change his tune.
What did you just said that?
I did not just say he changed his tune and that VAR is good. That's what he said. I did not just say that on this pod. And I did not say that in our back and forth.
But you said
I'm sorry?
Now, so you said now it's bad. So isn't that changing his tune? What are you saying then?
Right. Wait, you're saying that I said he changed his tune. I didn't say change his tune.
You're just saying that now that it went against him, he's complaining?
Yeah,
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, now that it went against him, he comes out because he's not having this. He's not coming out in that way if the call's reversed.
You didn't pay attention last year when he did that twice, and they actually apologized twice to oh look, if I had give you a piece of it,
What does it have to do with what he did? What is that?
I'm just saying. You're saying like now it doesn't. Like he's
a month earlier, he was talking about it.
No, he wasn't.
We have to get patient.
I knew this was going to come up.
Yeah.
You shared that meme from Sports Lad Bible and did not dig into anything about it.
Well, take it up with Sports Lad Bible. But he said those words.
No, take it up with you because you're not looking for the truth. He wasn't saying that, VAR, it's hard. These guys are trying their best. He was asked a question about, do you think, it was referring to what Klopp said about, should you replay a game or whatever? And he said, I hope they get what they deserve. Because it's frustrating, I'm paraphrasing here, to play and you follow the rules, but then it calls against you. He was like, everyone's trying their best. But remember, too, this just came off the PGML, sending an apology. Also, it's a game he's not in. It's another club. Like, the PR team on Arsenal isn't going to let him get up there and start ranting about Liverpool getting screwed over. It's not going to happen.
But they're going to allow it and condone it when...
Yes. Yeah, they're not going to promote. They're not going to root for another team. What are you saying, man?
He comes out and blasts. You've seen so many people come out and go, "Hey, we need to keep." All right, listen.
Arteta
that's a bit much.
It was a bad call at Liverpool, and then it screwed up, and that Liverpool got screwed over. He didn't scream about it. He didn't get emotional about it, but he did say that. So what's the difference? I mean, now he's more emotional because it's his team, but he did say they screwed up and they deserve those those points.
But everybody's trying, and everybody, we have to give it time, and there has to be patience with it all. But now it goes against him, and he fires out disgusting, just whatever the exact quotes were. You can go on Sky Sports and all of those others that show it, where that made the rounds on
yeah, everything. It made the rounds very out of context. You keep taking it out of context.
I'm not. What is being shared is his words in a post-match
about.
In a post,
I think the matches should be replayed like Jurgen Klopp.
I'm talking about the one on Saturday.
Okay,
I'm not taking any of that out of context.
I know.
There's plenty of things where he's saying those things.
How is that? What manager have you seen stand up and scream and rant over another club getting effed over? They'll say, "Yeah, I saw that. That's a bad call," and they're not. But
it's not the point about him screaming, ranting, and raving. Is the words that he said then and the words that he said now is what Sport Bible was saying. Hey, life comes at you fast, and in a month, he changed his tune here. Now, I did just say he changed his tune there, so if you want to go back to that.
An hour, right? Like, he didn't even wait an hour. He got a yellow for running his mouth on the sideline, then came back and did a presser saying, you should respect the refs. And
who are we talking about now?
Believe what they say. I'm an old school guy. I'm a boomer. Yeah, whatever. Off. Like, it's such a disingenuous argument. Like, he's talking about two different situations.
Yeah, but if Arsenal were that wronged, where's the apology?
Oh, amen. They should be coming. I don't think PGML will do it now, though. I don't think they'll do it because they got called out publicly.
So what did calling them out publicly actually accomplish?
I'm gonna tell you what. Argument? As of right now, on November 7th, they haven't fined or suspended him. Which to me, if that's not coming, says that they're
not going to issue an apology.
No,
because they're not going to issue an apology because what did they actually get wrong?
And so then let me take this a step further. So now managers, we think it works great in this league to never have them call out a bad call or to say the refs effed up.
Oh, no. Not at all. Not at all. It's happened well throughout the league, from Sir Alex to Klopp to Kenny Dalglish to you can name them all. They've all done that. It's a different argument, right? They're not taking it up necessarily with the ref on the field. They're taking it up with VAR now. But I think it's how it got publicized so much from this match because how Arteta comes across, and how he came across is he's been the only one, and his club's been the only one wronged by VAR this season.
Ferris, quit putting words in his mouth, just like you.
No.
He never said that.
I never know, but that's how he's coming across. I didn't say that. Well, why is it getting shared over and over again by any of your biggest outlets over there?
If they are putting, so here's the context I'm talking about. If they're putting that spin on it, he didn't say we are the only ones getting screwed over. There's conspiracy against us. He just said we have been getting hammered by bad calls. He didn't sit there and say like
we've been hammered by bad calls. You're the least carded team in the league. It's your first loss on the season, and you lost 1-0.
Well,
on a goal 3 VARs that survived 3 different VAR checks.
So Ferris, do you think that his reaction is about this match or cumulative? We got 2 apologies. We got 2 apologies last year that could have cost us the league.
No, you guys bottled that perfectly well on your own. I think it's probably a mix of both. I would say on the day and when he's sitting in that press room, it's more about that game in that time. But I think in every manager there is that as soon as the door openings with VAR, they're flying through it. But how are they flying through it?
The final goal tally, the final points were 89 to 84. So actually, no, 2 matches with apologies to Arsenal and
you guys had an 8-point lead for the longest period of time for what did I say for 75% of the time last year. It was a bottle job.
Couldn't beat the refs. Damn.
No, you couldn't beat Man City. It was a bottle job.
Oh, couldn't beat the team that could win the Champions League. Okay.
And the FA Cup too. You forgot that one.
Yeah,
but you led the league for 70% of this, the most days ever in the Premier League, and you blew it. How did we get into last year?
Because if you don't think that plays into the comments, that's insane.
I told you I think it does, but on the day, that exact is what plays into that emotion and how he went about that press conference, and as I just said, I think there's that thing in the back of every manager mind, because Arteta won't be the first and he won't be the last. But I think as soon as that VAR kind of paper is slid across the press room floor, or it happened in a game that wronged them, or they felt like they were wronged, then we're going to go through that door. But how's each manager going to go through that door? I think is what we're seeing over the time. How Klopp went through it in the Tottenham game, how the Wolves manager went through it in the Man United and
Wolves game. It's also, you're like, but it is true because look at all the pundits and what they're saying. But I can pull up just as many pundits that are defending Arteta who are like, we should be saying stuff. We should be talking about how bad this is.
The short fuse ones?
No, Ferris.
The pundits?
I sent you the short fuse as a copy of the quote of the actual conversation. And then I sent you an article that actually had the conversation.
You sent me from Liverpool.com saying Liverpool said this was it. And I went, that's not from Liverpool FC. That's just a random site named Liverpool.com.
And I sent you the one from the Mirror. I sent you the one from it was the same article.
No, it was not the Mirror. This was like tabloid, like New York tabloids, like an alien showed up in some lady's backyard.
So, okay, I got it. Now, what you're saying is it doesn't matter what truth
the standard. It's not even the Evening Standard. Come on. Let Nick Jackson, hat trick. Good for him.
So Arteta didn't say any of those things. You're just saying he didn't say any of those things.
No, it's not what I said. Do you want me to send you the Instagram picture again? Those are his words.
Yes, about 2 different things that you keep trying to equate as being the same
Sport
thing.
Bible. Sport Bible does.
No, that's
I didn't bring those 2 quotes up. Sport Bible did.
Yeah, well, I can pull up 2 quotes from anybody and slap them together and say, look at this idiot. Look at Postecoglou. He looks like a hypocrite after this last match.
Does he?
He got a yellow card for it. Arteta didn't. He got a yellow card for dissent and running chasing after the ref. Arteta didn't get that. Why can't
Arteta's got plenty of cards in his career. Come on.
Why can't he keep his cool?
On.
Why can't he keep his cool on the pitch?
Ask Arteta that. Getting in fights with Klopp last season, if you want to go to that. I mean, come on.
Well, no. So
Ron, how did your
rules,
Chelsea Blues do?
Just go ahead and say, Blake, different rules, different people. Moving on. I get it. You said that.
I never said that.
What you're saying, dude.
I'm not saying
different rules for different people.
Never.
So, I think
Ferris,
we should.
Ron, you better say who you fucking agree with.
Well, no, I have to write another.
Ron, is there a single bleep on there for me?
No.
Thank you.
So, I'm going to have the last word on this.
Go ahead. Have it. Blake, you can't say anything, and I can't say a word after. Ron has the final word.
This is the last word. I do think that a lot has happened in the league as a whole between the words Arteta spoke at Liverpool or about the Liverpool situation and now. I think we can all agree that VAR has gotten worse during the period rather than better, no matter what they've tried to fix, which, in my mind, allows Arteta to have a more harsh opinion about VAR because things aren't getting better, they are getting worse. On the Arsenal side of things, where I think they aren't helping themselves, there is a poor me mentality that comes across from the club, and maybe it's a bit of a spin from from certain media outlets, but there is a bit of a poor me mentality. Blake, you did a bit of that during this discussion. So I think Arsenal needs to pull up their big boy pants and realize they are in a sport that is not perfect. It is flawed, and there will continue to be flaws. I think a lot of teams are fed up with VAR, and I'm sure changes are going to come, or it's going to be the French Revolution about what's happening with VAR. So in the end, I think it's kind of a middle between Arsenal being Arsenal, and I think to a degree they have a right to complain when things from their opinion are not going correctly. That's the only way to change anything when it's all tanking anyway, right? So I think there's kind of a middle ground, and that's my Switzerland answer.
How was Chelsea?
So that's the next thing. Blake, give us some Chelsea stuff.
I mean, I've never rooted for Chelsea harder in my life, or ever. I don't know. A Tottenham goal in the 6th minute via give me the name.
Kulusevski.
Dejan Kulusevski.
Two Chelsea goals ruled out in 7 minutes via VAR. A Romero red in the 33rd. A Cole Palmer pin in the 35th. A second yellow for Tottenham's Odigi.
You were on your own on that one.
Udagi.
A red card. A Nicholas Jackson hat trick to win it with goals the 75th, the 90th, of the 94th, and the 97th. Wait, Ron, can I find what's that Peter Drury quote I sent you guys about like
this is either going to be the 4th goal of the game or the 5th disallowed goal.
Yes. Like, oh God, I don't want to break the rules. I'm not trying to break the rules. I just think this match played into part of what Ron was saying about something needs to be said. I think VR was a mess.
This match was,
even though they were correct, I think it's like what we talked about earlier with the Bundesliga and La Liga making far fewer VAR checks. They're calling. Did all these need to be VAR checks, or were they called?
The first half was wild, and I was at work, so I wasn't watching the game. Earlier that day, I saw a friend of the pod, Mr. Horn in the Grill. We're talking about, we were talking about VAR and the madness from Saturday and our thoughts on that. And, oh, yeah, there's a game on today, Tottenham, Chelsea. I'll have it on a side screen while I work and do that sort of thing, right? Fast forward to pretty much the end of the first half. We're great. We come out of a Zoom thing, and we go to meet to go then look at something. And the first thing he says, he's like, "Are you following along in this match?" He's like, "There was just another send-off. They're playing with 9. There's been like 3 disallowed goals. There's penalties. There's all sorts of stuff happening. This match is wild." Sure enough, I bring up my phone, and it's a laundry list of just these calls as I'm scrolling through the highlights.
It was
I'm
insane.
like, no kidding.
Look,
yeah. It's like,
flip mob and
yeah. It was wild. And I was like, man, you're right, dude. This is wild.
So I have a friend who is a Tottenham fan, and he and I were just going back and forth through the entire game. Just like, I swear, I got no work done. I just texted about this match. The interesting thing about this was it was a very physical game, but it was a very chippy physical game in a way that the Arsenal Newcastle match did not start as. It was just physical and there was passion. This one, as I mentioned earlier, Romero could have been sent off in any number of challenges over a 5 to 12 minute period.
Yeah.
In
any
this
game,
match.
any game he can do that. Like he's
Chelsea,
he makes Diego Costa look just angelic.
yeah. And you know, the thing I take away from this entire match is stop holding the offsides flag for in one of these. It was just under 10 seconds. The offsides flag was held down. And then
I know that they're waiting for the VR is going to look at it. I'm with you. Put it up. Let the players know, hey, if you want to be an idiot and stop because the flag goes up, that's fine. You should go. But was that why they did it, Ron? Because if they put it up, are they supposed to stop playing at that point?
yes.
yeah.
Well, if the flag goes up,
stop. Yeah.
then the main on-field referee sees the flag go up, and then he stops play.
Where
So
like
then what's the point of VAR for the? I'm not trying to fight for it. I'm just saying, I understand that's a weird spot, right?
well, what the argument is now is what they do is they let the play finish and then put up the flag. Now that was different if we go back to Liverpool and Tottenham, where that flag went up also, because I think what they're supposed to do, mind you, who the hell knows what the hell they're actually thinking to do. But if it's that obvious, if the offside is that obvious, the flag should go up. But if it's tight, I think they're instructed to keep the flag down until the end of the play.
Correct. Which is, I could see the case for that.
Yes, I can see the, yeah.
But the first goal that was disallowed was miles offsides. The second goal that was disallowed was miles offsides.
And how long did each VAR decision take for that?
Longer than you expect.
Exactly. That's what I don't. So we've seen VAR decisions before. We've literally seen a ref go to the thing and be like, okay, it's whatever. And they make the call. Well, what's going on?
It's very, just raise the friggin' flag.
Yeah.
Just raise the flag. 5 goals
That is
disallowed.
a large part why you were on that sideline running up and down to the halfway line.
Yeah, other than that, if you're not going to put your flag up, why are you there? The computer, we can go to VAR all day long and just do instant replay.
For a bit of a jog about.
My favorite headline was probably from The Defector, which was VAR turned a great match into the worst and weirdest game of the season.
Yeah, completely.
And that's true. I think for a neutral, it was fun to watch out of. This is insane.
Just bizarre.
I didn't see this anywhere. I'm going to make this up off the cuff. So if anybody had this first, but it was like almost this game went Newcastle Arsenal. Hold my beer.
Yes. No, it did. It did. And I think it makes this game actually might be another reason that no VAR, no comment from PGMOL about Arsenal and Arteta yet.
What if they came out and be like, the PGMOL apologizes for the entire weekend?
Just
the entire weekend.
We don't think the calls were wrong in Chelsea and Arsenal.
Everything. Subjective offside
off
isn't exactly. It's what. Yeah, we just apologize from the 8:30 game on until the Monday game. We apologize for it all.
And like, guys, I'm Ferris. This is our friend Ron. Chelsea finally gets a win in a huge way over the top of the table,
and Nick Jackson gets a hat trick.
Yeah, but I think here is my.
I'm checking to see if I played him on.
I'm with Postecoglou. I'm angry for you, Ron. This is still about VAR and you guys not winning the friggin' match.
Well, I'm going to, because we are horribly over time.
Yeah. In the news, I'm saying, by the way, not, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, not us.
The score doesn't really tell the story of the match in the respect that.
No, fair.
When Chelsea are up by 2 men, they had until the 94th minute, they had gotten worse through the match, not better. Now, you can arguably say when a team is down men, they pack it in and they prevent the team from being able to get behind and create chances, yada, yada. That's not what Tottenham did. Tottenham didn't pack it in. They stayed as far front as they could and disrupted all of the play that Chelsea was trying to do.
What you're supposed to do when you're down 9 is just, yeah.
And
you keep everything in front of you.
And the interesting thing is that we actually got worse through this game until we were able to split them open, and then the air went out of the Tottenham balloon, and then the other goals follow. So this wasn't like we marauded them when they were, not down to 9 men. We couldn't connect more than 3 passes in a row. We had trouble getting through the midfield. We had 2 open players.
There was a moment, Ron, I will not lie, when it was 2-1 that I thought you guys could still lose this.
Well, you know what's interesting is I had the same thought because Eric Dyer got a ball over the top and put a beautiful shot on goal into the net past Sanchez. And I thought, we're going to lose this. And he was deemed by a knee and a shin and a foot offside. And I thankfully realized that was actually offside, because if it wasn't, we probably would have lost that match, being up 2 men.
Ron, do you know where you're at in the table right now?
We just poked to the top 10.
Top 10?
Yeah, we're inside the top 10. Finally.
No. You're not inside. You're just at 10.
Hey, that's inside.
You are middle of the road.
No.
But you've gotten there.
If you're on the line, it counts.
It counts. That's
you're
right.
Inside the 10.
Okay.
Well, unless your name is Man United, and then that is ruled out of bounds.
No. Man United's in there because we're the only team that has a negative goal.
No.
Ferris,
in the top bring that 10. Up. Do you remember what I'm talking about, Ferris? You guys had that goal called off when the ball was in.
Yeah. Subjective offside. I sat there at 8:30 in the morning with a thing of tea or whatever it was, and I'm like, subjective offside, clear and obvious, subjective. Those words don't. They don't. Those are.
I'm talking about the one a few matches ago where you guys had the ball was out of play. It was ruled, but on the camera angle, it was really clear that it was absolutely in, way more in than the previous one. I'm surprised you didn't bring that up. But anyway,
did not, but yes,
Ron, I had freaking 21 minutes added to this game.
21 minutes.
So can I ask you guys something? He has been doing great.
He who?
The manager of Tottenham's, whose name, it's like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. It took me until he left or was out of Man United to say his name correct.
Postecoglou.
Pasta Man. There we go. Okay, so his style of play is here to be, and like you can't hard to argue with the results, right? He's been playing high octane, go. However, did a weakness get exposed in the sense that he didn't really alter that? He didn't make a change for how this match was going.
I don't know if it got exposed. It's really hard to say that when you have 2 off the pitch. And rightly so. But at that point, it's like, well, what do we have to lose now at this point? But again, I think a lot of it is, it's that new manager. He does play a very fun style. It's attacking. It's on the front foot. It's for the fans. That's what he was playing at Celtic before he came over. I think we've talked about this. No Europe, just concentrating on the league. Now you have some injuries. What's the status of Madison? What's the status of, there was like 4 or 5 of them in this game. But I think regardless, Tottenham fans have to be happy, and Postecoglou certainly looks like he's a manager there to stay for at least.
Do you agree with that, Ron? In the sense that, what's the word on James Madison?
Yeah, we've got a couple injuries for those guys
because when you say they're happy, I don't know, Ferris.
I think they're happy with the manager they have, where they haven't always been in years past, right?
Oh, gotcha.
You know what I mean? Like, I think they're happy with.
So I thought you meant happy with how they were in the match. Sorry.
No. I think that this was not a good match for Tottenham, and you have a chance to stay the only unbeaten team and all of those things going into it. But as we've kind of found out in a way, the Bridge is not an easy place to play right now. Look at the Arsenal game a few weeks back. It's Chelsea, and that's what Ten Hag did last year, was at least turn the home form into a tough place to play. Definitely not so much the current season, but if Pochettino's doing that, hey, that might get Chelsea through this season with all the injuries they already have and such.
I think, to go back to Blake's point real fast, is I think Postecoglou is going to be very happy with the response that the team had to the irresponsibility of a few players. So there was a lot of heart. They still tried. They stayed on the front foot. They tried to take it to Chelsea as much as they could. And they were doing a fantastic job at it. So I think he is going to be upset with the conduct of a few players. I think he's going to be overall happy with the players who weren't petulant children.
That's your take, Ferris?
I'm sorry?
I said, was that your take?
On
how he's doing now.
Yeah, I told you my take on how he's doing. Sorry.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, before we move on to the 2-minute drill, I'll just say that clearly we do know that if it was in fact Arteta coaching this club, Ferris would say he's lost it. He can't control his 2 players, and he's totally bottled the league when he had a chance to get ahead. And there you have it.
No, not what I said at all. Like, just make it up.
No, I'm just saying, if it was Arteta, I know how you would comment about this guy.
Not at all.
Tony sounds good. Anthony Smith, you know the truth, Anthony. You know.
I like that Anthony, friend of ours, also on that chat group that had the day-long argument, basically said, you guys are going to have the spiciest pod. Make sure that you guys should have safe words going into it, which was pretty brilliant.
Beginning of the pod, the safe word was Pacifica. That's right.
Yeah. We have got to move on.
Yes,
okay, so 1-minute drill?
Sure.
1 minute drill.
1 minute drill. We heard, yes.
Here you go. Run us through the Premier League.
All right. Bruno Fernandes saves the day for Manchester United in the 91st +1 on the road away to Fulham. Is this the fuel that can propel United up the table after back-to-back 3-0 losses at home to City and Newcastle, respectively? I don't think so, but
no.
Whatever. It's a win. Good goal by Bruno. This is the game where we're talking about the subjective offside early on. Scott McTominay scored another one. I didn't see a whole lot wrong with it, but there you go. Either way, United get a big 3 points on what was a very, very rough week.
I think the only thing that they have to look forward to is more inconsistency.
Yeah, it certainly seems like that's going to be the case.
And they celebrated that win like they won the league.
They did celebrate that win like they won.
Yeah, come on. After the week that they had,
it's okay.
Come on.
Doesn't matter.
Away on the road.
Doesn't matter. So,
you know what? They got 3 points on the road. They got Champions League this week. They'll probably lose again. And they have the Luton, I think, on the weekend or something. So they'll probably lose that.
Ron, that was my favorite thing I put in the chat thread. Tony liked it, and I was like, he knows what I'm doing.
3 wins on the bounce for Brentford as they beat West Ham 3-2 at the G-Tech. Don't look now, but Brentford are back in the top 10.
Sorry, Blake, you go ahead.
As for now, I don't know that I really believe that's a thing that's going to last for long, but yeah.
Brentford are a team where it started off slow to the start of the season. Have started to come on a little bit here. I think you got to keep an eye on them. I think, I don't know if they'll go a whole lot higher up than now, but I think they're definitely going to be more of a problem like they were last season than they were at the beginning of this season.
So for next week's matches, Ron, does it in 8th and 9th, Manchester and Brentford, who has a better chance of winning? Brentford beating Liverpool or Man U beating Luton Town?
Brentford beating Liverpool. I was on real quick. I have 50 seconds. I was on the Soccer Crush podcast yesterday. With podcasts I've been on before. We're talking about, hey, if your NWSL team could play any other team in the world, regardless of league or whatnot, I said I would love them to play the Manchester United men because Orlando Pride would probably win 2-0.
Perfect timing. Oh crap! It's my turn. Palace get back to winning ways with a 2-0 win over Burnley. Over under 4.5 wins for Burnley in the league this season.
Under.
They
get 4 exactly is what I think they'll get. So therefore, I'll take the under.
Where are they sitting at?
They
right
have
now,
1 right now.
They have 1 win, so they have a total of 4
after
points.
11 games. So they're.
I mean, that's
almost
if the current
33% through the league or whatever.
Look,
current statistics hold.
You got a Luton Town, little sweet Luton Town. You just got to draw 2 more matches, and I think you're safe.
Right,
because the teams below you are really wretched.
Well, how about this next team?
Well, wait, we got to get the.
I know. I was.
What? Are we done talking about them?
Yeah.
Well, also, how about this next team? Everton almost hang on, but in the end of the day, get a draw 1-1.
Clear
against,
as mud, Ferris.
Against Brighton. Everton are now 5 points clear, though, of the drop zone. Confident they will stay up. And I think so, because there are worse teams like Burnley, who we were just talking about.
And Sheffield United. I agree.
There are some bad teams, but I think Bournemouth stands the chance of squeaking out. I would give Bournemouth a chance of squeaking out higher than Everton dropping 2. Does that make sense? I just don't have any faith in Everton. And I actually don't think. Is this going to. Do you think
5 points clear right now?
Relegation help them longer in the long run because they need to rebuild everything? And I feel like this skirting at the bottom constantly isn't helping. Anyway.
No, I agree. Real quick, all in all, a bad week for Everton. A fairly good result here, as they lost, I believe it was Bill Kenwright, a part of their ownership, and a big part of Everton this past week. So, sad, and certainly.
But what's wrong?
Everybody out there's doing well.
You guys say, Ron, Everton staying up?
No.
I love it.
Fair.
Jeremy Doku goes absolutely crazy bananas as he scores the first goal and adds 4 assists in what was a 6-1 win for Man City over Bournemouth. City back at the top of the table at the time. Do they stay there for the rest of the season?
When the third goal went in, that was my thought, was watch this be the moment that they sit there the rest of the friggin' season. And look, no hate, man, in that sense. I'm just like, man, I don't know.
I think they're up and around there. I don't know if they stay at first from now until May. I think their strong suit has been over the past seasons is that push from essentially January on, after those festive games, if you will. So I don't think they stay there all season long. I think they stay within the top 3 all season long, though.
They get knocked out of Champions League quick. I think they stay.
Yeah, but they've already qualified today, though. So for the next round.
All right, Ron, here you go. Ferris wrote this. Apologize, ladies and gentlemen, and any small children that are listening. But the f***ing Blades, baby. Sheffield United get their first league win of the season, courtesy of a in the 100th minute penalty strike from captain Oliver Norwood. Man, what a great name for such a
Cheerio chap.
I mean, it's just perfect. Sheffield United 2, Wolverhampton Wanderers 1. Billy f***ing Sharp, who? Get in there, son.
That was the most country way of saying, get in, son. Get in there, son. Hey, come on.
Playing in there for you.
Good for the Blades.
Boston, I'll switch it up for you when I move up there.
Good for the Blades, though. They needed that one. First win on the season. Now we do not have we no longer have a winless team, and we no longer have an undefeated team. So what a wild weekend the Premier League was this past weekend.
True story. Not much else to say about that one.
Just when you thought Aston Villa were going to steamroll through the league with 6 wins in a row, 4 in the league in the past few 30 days or so, they were stopped dead in their tracks with a 2-0 loss on the road to Nottingham Forest. You may be able to whoop Brighton and wallop West Ham, but you can't beat Robin Hood. Am I right or am I right?
This might have been one of my favorite matches of the week, and to be honest, this made me happy.
This was just one of those off matches where Villa couldn't get it together, and they couldn't buy a goal. It's just off. I don't think this is any cause for panic or anything like that.
But a good win for Forest.
But definitely a good win for Forest.
Yeah, 11 matches in, Forest sitting in 13th place with 13 points. That is a far cry from last year.
Better goal difference on -3 than Man United.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Holy cow. So, good on them. Good on them.
Luton Town so close with what would have been a massive first home win in the league at Kenilworth Road, but a late Luis Diaz goal in the 90-plus fifth saw Liverpool draw with Luton. Oh, it was heartbreak. I think we can all agree on 2 things. 1, we wish Luton would have gotten the win, and 2, good to see Luis Diaz score after all of the insanity with him and his parents and what his family's going through.
That his parents were kidnapped by a terrorist group in Colombia.
I think his dad is still captive. Right?
Yes.
Dad's still captured. Like, I don't even understand how you I don't even understand how you're there in the game.
Yeah.
That is insane. I mean, that's just for all the insanity that we talked about in the matches, this happens. And I hadn't really heard about this, and I apologize. I just was out of the loop on it. And I saw him lift the shirt, and then they explained why, and I was like, what? That's bonkers to me. And to be honest, deflated. That deflates a whole lot of the arguments Ferris and I have been having a whole lot out of me. Like, wow, right? Stuff could be a lot worse. So that's insane. I don't even know what it's like a movie plot.
Well, we hope that they find Luis Diaz's dad and safely recover him, and things work out how they're supposed to work out.
I can throw this in real quick. There was the latest update was the rebel group is claiming military actions delaying the release of the father. So,
right, but that's the hostage taker saying, "Well, the police aren't giving me my ransom, so it's their fault."
Well, what I just mean is, like, I guess it's good to hear that they're talking about it.
Sure,
it'd be ghoulish, but that's good, you know. Ugh, friggin', what are we arguing about, Ferris?
Yeah, right.
So, gentlemen, we are
something none of us will argue about. I can't wait.
We are still well over time. Do we just skip the FIFA talk for the next pod and go right to the La Liga's roundup?
You know what? Let's do this. Let's save the FIFA corrupt talk. Surprise, surprise. For the FIFA break that's coming up.
Okay.
And after this weekend, I think we're in another international break window.
Good call. Sorry for the tease earlier, but now you've just got to come back for the next episode.
And we will go right to the La Liga's roundup featuring the NWSL. Take it away, Ferris.
Thank you. Well, would you looky there? Just a short few pods ago, we talked about how two U.S. women national team legends, Ali Krieger and Megan Rapinoe, were retiring from national team football. Well, if you also didn't know, they were also retiring from club football as well. Both of those were announced several months back. But not before they and their clubs, NYNJ Gotham and OL Reign, square off in what will be the 2023 NWSL final that's taking place this Saturday, the 11th at 8 p.m. Eastern. So here's how we got there. In the first match on Sunday, both matches were on Sunday night. I like the style how they did this. One's a 7:30 game, one's a 10 p.m. game. You had a little bit of time in between what should have ended. However, this game went into extra time. So in this first match on Sunday night, Gotham went away to one of the toughest places to play on the road in the NWSL at Providence Park, and on a rainy, nasty night, pulled out a massive 1-0 win in the 107th minute of the first half of extra time. So it's no golden goal. It is you play the two 15-minute halves, and then it would have gone to pen. But this goal was the decider in Portland by the Gotham team. Huge, huge goal. The substitute and Florida girl from Melbourne, Florida, Katie Stengel, scored a brilliant goal worthy of any game winner with a curler from outside the box, which went into the upper 90. Absolutely brilliant from Katie and Gotham, and Ali Krieger and her Gotham team move on to the finals. Then, in the second match on Sunday night, just after halftime, a failed cross, which turned out to be a good goal by once again the match winner, Veronica Lasco. You remember, in the 87th minute against Angel City in the last round, scored that one and only goal. That turned out to be the one and only goal in this, as they beat Shield winners San Diego Wave in front of a 32,000+ crowd, not only knocking them out of the playoffs, but also denying them of the chance to play in front of their home fans at Snapdragon Stadium, which is where the NWSL finals will be taking place again this Saturday on Big CBS, so on main CBS at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So we got Gotham versus Reign, Krieger versus Rapinoe. Who do you got in this year's 2023 NWSL final?
I'm going for Krieger.
I am too, man.
Yeah.
I am too.
Yeah, come on, man. How do you not? She was so rad while she was down here playing with the Pride. Like,
yeah, you got to go for her. I mean, Rapinoe's amazing, and kind of second to none. But I got to go for Krieger for the old hometown
and he
play.
Also had an amazing career with a ton of accolades. Not that Ali hasn't gotten them, but she's been a star. Yeah,
sure. I also think Gotham have a little bit more of a punch in the front. You have Lynn Williams, you have Mitch Purse, you have Christy Mewis that could see the start in the next one. That I think they just have a little bit more punch up front. Solid defense also back there with Ali Krieger, as the likes of Kakali O'Hara, Kristen Edmonds that they used to play here. So I think all around they have a good team. Now, this will be an East Coast team going out to the West Coast. So there is that to think about. But nonetheless, it should be a fun game. Again, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Big CBS this Saturday, November 11th.
Can't wait.
All right. Well, I think that wraps us up, gentlemen. We managed to somehow stick a almost not too late landing. Ferris, you got us a Zlatan quote before we give our beer mentions?
Sure. As a...
Do we want to do this quote that Ron shared to us, which was pretty great?
The Zlatan quote? Sure,
yeah.
Go ahead. Or do you want...
I just sent it in the chat.
Me to say it? Okay.
Yeah, it's in the chat.
Go ahead through all of our things and then come back to me while
I'll do our beer. Yeah, we'll do our beers of the pod. So for my beer of the pod, I had the from the Tennessee Brew Works. I had the double neck Belgian style ale, so named because they paired with Gibson guitar for the sexy double neck guitar. This double was amazing.
From Banner Elk, North Carolina, Ferris and I had in studio the Kettle Beer Works Supernova IPA, 6.2 ABV by volume. And what a tasty, citrusy IPA from North Carolina.
Indeed. And it's been gone a while, so that tells you how fast we drink this.
Sorry to throw the audible on you, Ferris, but also we didn't talk about this particular trophy that was handed out. So here's our appropriate way of talking about it.
Okay, yeah. So the Ballon d'Or and Messi won the Ballon d'Or, of course. This
bunch of horse hockey.
Yeah. We all can agree on that. But when Zlatan was asked of his opinion of it, he gave a very frank opinion of the Ballon d'Or in 2023, and he is quoted as saying, when asked Messi or Haaland should win, he responded, "Who cares? Why do you give importance to awards like this, where a bunch of stupid journalists get together and show their bias towards a few players?" Questioned if young players aspire to the award, he retorted with no. Sensible young players should never aspire to such awards. We all know that the Ballon d'Or is given to those who have the strongest PR that year. I feel sorry for Haaland. I feel sorry for those who these awards are given to seriously.
That kind of sums it up.
There you go. Well, gentlemen, I don't have a dad joke for you. I just have an observation. I find it amusing. The Americans call it soccer. This one British gentleman said, and the English call it football. Just like how I find it amusing that Americans call it a circus and the English call it the FA.
That's pretty entertaining.
Real quick, there was a comedian that I saw. He's talking about, why do people say, "Oh, soccer's so boring and so low scoring"? You watch the NFL. The score is not 14-7. The score is 2-1.
Yeah. I saw that.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
yes.
He's like, everything else is fairy tale points.
Yeah,
right?
They just make up points. No, they scored one, and the other team scored one, and the other scored another.
It doesn't have to be 6-3 and 2-1. It could just be 1, 2, 3, 4. What does it matter?
Right.
Love it. Brilliant. All right, gentlemen, it was a good one. I feel like I let Anthony down. I only served a little slice of hate cake in this episode. It wasn't full blown. If we had cut those microphones on Sunday night, we probably couldn't have aired that pod. Follow us on the Twitters, on the whatever X. I don't know, man. I still just hate that situation. Facebooks, what have you. Leave us a review on the Apple Podcast. However you listen to us, let us know. We'll get you some fun in the mail. Mr. Brian Turner, saw that you got your stuff. Thanks so much again for helping us out with the pod where we accidentally uploaded some erroneous audio. I think that's got us, gentlemen. You good to go?
Love it.
All right, let's do it. Love the beer. Cherish the game. The Brutiful game.